Receiving a life sentence is a grave and life-altering moment for anyone. It signifies that an individual will spend the remainder of their life behind bars, with little hope of ever experiencing freedom again. While the concept of dangerous criminals is often associated with men, there are also women who have committed heinous crimes and received life sentences. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at the 5 most dangerous women reacting to life sentences. Yeah, you heard it right. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos, often referred to as the Damsel of Death, was a notorious serial killer who operated in the state of Florida in the late 1980s. Wuornos was convicted of murdering 7 men whom she claimed had assaulted or attempted to assault her while working as a prostitute. In 1992, she was sentenced to death for 6 of the murders, and she received a life sentence for the 7th. Her reactions to her life sentence were filled with anger and defiance. She lashed out at the court and the legal system, maintaining her innocence and blaming the men that she had killed for their own deaths. She showed little remorse for her actions and was known for her outbursts and violent behavior in court. Rosemary West. Rosemary West, along with her husband Fred West, committed a series of horrific crimes in the United Kingdom during the 1970s and 1980s. They were known as the House of Horrors killers due to the gruesome acts they perpetrated against young women, including their own daughters. Rosemary was convicted of 10 counts of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Her reaction to her life sentence was one of denial and detachment. She maintained her innocence and blamed her husband for the crimes. Despite overwhelming evidence against her, she showed little emotion during the trial and appeared to be detached from the gravity of her actions. Myra Hindley. Myra Hindley was a notorious British serial killer who, along with her partner Ian Brady, committed the Moors murders in the 1960s. They abducted, tortured, and murdered 5 young children, burying their bodies in the Yorkshire Moors. Hindley was convicted of 2 counts of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Her reaction to her life sentence was one of shock and disbelief. She initially maintained her innocence and blamed Brady for the murders, but later admitted her guilt. She showed remorse for her actions and made attempts at rehabilitation while in prison, but her crimes continue to be remembered as some of the most heinous in British history. Susan Smith. Susan Smith gained infamy in 1994 when she drowned her 2 young children, Michael and Alex, by strapping them into their car seats and driving her car into a lake in South Carolina. She initially claimed that her children had been kidnapped by a carjacker, but later confessed to the crime. Smith was convicted of 2 counts of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Her reaction to her life sentence was one of sorrow and regret. She expressed remorse for her actions and sought forgiveness from the victims' families. She struggled with depression and attempted suicide multiple times while in prison. Karla Homolka. Karla Homolka, along with her husband, Paul Bernardo, committed a series of heinous crimes in Canada in the 1990s, including the rape and murder of 3 young girls, including her own sister. Homolka was convicted of manslaughter and received a 12-year prison sentence as part of a plea bargain. Her reaction to her sentence was controversial, as she appeared to show little remorse for her actions and was criticized for her perceived lack of accountability. Juana Barraza. Juana Barraza, known as the Old Lady Killer or the Little Old Lady Killer, is a Mexican serial killer who operated in Mexico City in the early 2000s. She targeted elderly women, posing as a nurse or social worker to gain access to their homes, and then brutally murdered them. Barraza was convicted of 16 counts of murder and was sentenced to 759 years in prison, effectively a life sentence. Her reaction to her life sentence was one of defiance and denial. She maintained her innocence and claimed that she was framed by the authorities. She showed little remorse for her actions and exhibited aggressive behavior in court, displaying a lack of empathy toward her victims. Dana Sue Gray. Dana Sue Gray is an American serial killer who operated in California in the 1990s. She targeted elderly women, posing as a salesperson or caregiver, and then brutally murdered them for their money and possessions. Gray was convicted of 3 counts of murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her reaction to her life sentence was one of shock and disbelief. She initially claimed that she was innocent and blamed others for the crimes, but later confessed to the murders. She showed little remorse for her actions and appeared to be detached from the gravity of her crimes. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.